I'll start this video by apologizing if you can hear any sounds in the background. The weather has been very hot and I don't have my AC installed yet, so I'm using a fan. So if you can hear that windy sound in the background, that's my fan. Apologies for that. But anyway, March was a fairly okay reading month for me. I read 6 books, 3 audiobooks, 3 physical books, and they are also split along 3 fantasy books and 3 contemporary books. So yeah, March was pretty even, and I'm actually pretty proud of the reading I was able to get done, because it's still an improvement, and I'm actually looking forward to all the books I can read in April. But let me just go on and talk about my wrap-up, because I want this video to hopefully be as short as possible. Do I think I might be able to pull it off? I doubt it, because I tend to talk a lot, but let's just see exactly how well I would do. I'll start with the first book I started in March, which was The Shadows Between Us by Trishan Levenseller. This is a Slytherin fantasy book all about this girl who wants power, and as such she has this great plan of going into court, meeting the king, getting the king to fall in love with her, marry her, and when that happens, she intends to kill him and take his throne, take his power, take his kingdom for herself. And so she's ambitious like that. We love her. Our first introduction to her was her murdering the asshole love of her life, who, you know, took her virginity, slept with her, and then told her that, oh, he was bored and he wanted to try someone else, and she just stabbed him in the gut. So you would think that a book that started on such a strong premise would be an instant hit for me, and in fact my expectation was to give this a 5 stars. This was part of my 5-star predictions video, so I was expecting to give this a 5 stars. I did not give this a 5 stars. I gave this a 2 stars. I felt that this story dragged a lot. A lot of the beginning of it was all about Alessandra getting into the palace, winning the confidence of the king. So before she could get on to the rest of her plan, she spent a long time getting into the palace, you know, and then the friendship, romance, everything went by really, really fast. And then at the end, with the villain and how things were resolved, like, we got introduced to the villain in like the last 20 pages of the book. I felt that it was rushed. I did suspect that this person might be the villain, but the explanation given was not as logical as I wanted it to be. But a lot of this book was illogical. But I guess the one thing I just could not forgive was the fact that it had such a strong start. It dragged a lot, and then by the time it picked up, it just sped through to a finale. I gave it 2 stars. I picked up this book at the start of the month, and I dropped it for almost 3 weeks, and then I just picked it up at the last week of March. So that just goes to show exactly my mindset and my thoughts about the book. I wanted scheming. I wanted Drew Duarte raised to several hundreds or thousands of, you know, schemingness and villainy, and I did not get that with Alessandra. I felt that also some parts with the women's movement that was woven into this book, you know, about women's sexuality and women's choice, which I think is definitely a conversation that should always be had. You all know me, but I think that the way in which Trisha Levenseller wrote it into the book, it just felt like she was hammering the point in, and in a way it felt slightly disingenuous in some parts. I felt that it could have been done better. I personally felt it could be done better, and I'm just really, really upset about the fact that this book that I really had such high expectations for disappointed me so utterly, completely. So I gave this a 2 stars. Like, this could have been good, but I'm just highly disappointed. Next, I read The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This is the 2nd book in the Remnant Chronicles series. I already shared my thoughts about book 1 in Remnant Chronicles series, which I read in February, and I stated that even though I did sort of kind of enjoy it, the book fell in like the middle part, like a 2.5, a 3 stars max for me, because I felt that there was not enough fantasy elements in the book, and it took so long for the story to pick up because our lead characters, Jazelia, spent so long waiting tables, going about our everyday conversations and activities, and it became tedious towards the middle. But then the ending picked up. Like, that was what I expressed my concerns about The Heart of Betrayal, about the Kiss of Deception, which was the first book. In this book, Jazelia is in enemy territory, and she has to rely on her brains and her wit and her power of manipulation to get through and to survive, and hopefully to get out of the spot that she's currently in. In this case, I honestly think that Jazelia schemed more than Alexandra did in The Shadows Between Us. Even though Jesilia was not painted as the Slytherin character of my dreams, Alexandra was, and I was so disappointed because I did not get that. But with Jesilia though, I did enjoy the scheming. I did feel though that this seems to be a consistent thing with Mary E. Pearson's books, in that she has a strong start and a strong finish, but the middle just kind of lags, and so she doesn't know how to interspace and break things up with like moments of action in her books. I think at least in the middle part of her book, like that's just my own personal opinion. But the fantasy element, there's still not a strong fantasy. I think I'm just going to accept that this book it's like low fantasy. So I'll just accept the fact that this series is low fantasy and just stop expecting high fantasy in every book in this series and getting disappointed every single damn time. Like, I'm tired of being disappointed. But like I said, I did enjoy Jesilia's scheming. I think that she came more into her own. I think that the intelligence that she always claimed that she had, which we did not get a chance to see a lot of in the case of Deception, because so much of the book was spent with her bartending tables and just plucking wild berries and flowers. I think that we got more of that scheming. We got to see more of that mind and the way it worked in The Heart of Betrayal. And the villain for this, the commissar, I could understand how a character like, I want to understand, because I can't really see. There were two parts of the villains that we were given in this book, right? The first part is the person who would help, a young boy who was beaten, who would take him in and, earn his loyalty through being able to be there and sacrifice for this person. Or this person that would save a young girl's honor and basically bring her the justice she deserves. Trying to juxtapose that with the power-hungry mad person that we meet later. I think that my problem with this was that it just seemed like two totally separate individuals. There was no marriage of them. I could not see a connection. I could not see how the villain became from this person that we heard about to the person it was. So I think that I wanted more, and the way in which this book ended, I don't know if I would get those answers. But anyway, I'm still team when you kill somebody, cut off their heads, right? And there was no head cutting in this book. I will be so pissed because I have a feeling I know what is going to be happening in book 3, and I'm just so hurt because, like I said, head cutting is a big deal when you're trying to make sure that a villain stays dead. Speaking of cutting off the heads of villains, the third fantasy book I read this month is Crescent City, or rather House of Hurt and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I forgot to mention in The Heart of Betrayal, I didn't go into that much details with the synopsis because it's the second book in the series and I don't want to give out any spoilers, but like I said, our lead character Jesilia is trying to survive in a strange land and trying to use her wit in order to find her way to get back home. I gave it a 3.5 stars, so I definitely found it more enjoyable than Kiss of Deception, but it still did not blow me away like I wanted it to. This book, on the other hand, however, I gave 5 stars. Do I recognize that there are still flaws with Sarah J. Maas's writings? Yes, it's just, I think it's part and parcel of what you expect when you pick up a Sarah J. Maas book. But did I enjoy? Did I think it was a crazy ass ride, especially the last 150 pages? Yes, Sarah J. Maas really does know how to wrap up a story. In this, we follow the new love of my life, Bryce Adelaide Quillen, who is half fae and is living her life and living a glamorous time, partying it up with her friends. But when tragedy strikes, when she loses her friend in this horrible night, her life changes for so much worse, and she loses that fire, she loses that spirit, and she just wants to hibernate when the killer is found and locked away. But when 2 years later the killing starts again and she realizes that the person that had all this while been locked up was not actually the one responsible for the deaths of her friends, it's up to her to pair up with an angel in order to find justice, to find the people responsible, and to close the final chapter on like life with her friends. I'm not going to go into that much detail beyond that because this book was a ride. Like I said, I have an in-depth review of this book. I'm going to leave it in the description bar. Please click on it, check it out, watch it. I like my previous video. What am I even saying? Like, Sunday's video was a review of this book, so you can go totally check it out, but I'm not going to go into that much details because just know that I recognize the flaws. There were so many terms like alpha. Oh, seriously, Sarah, seriously, oh my god. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I did have a blast with this book. I gave it 5 stars. I'm not I can't wait to reread it again, and I cannot wait for the second book in the series to come out. But yeah, this was the third fantasy book I read. This was the third fantasy book I read this month, and I would just say it's typical Sarah J. Maas. If you're not someone who likes Sarah J. Maas writing, you might not like it, but who knows? I think that she was more self-aware when she was writing this book, and you could tell in the story she was telling, so you just might enjoy it. I think it was a happy balance between the Akotar series and the Throne of Glass series. So he had the plot of Throne of Glass, but he also had a lot of character-driven, character-heavy moments and character development that we had with the Akotar series. So if it is that maybe you like one series over the other, maybe there was something, if it is that you like one series over the other, you might just pick it up. This might be a new favorite. If it is that, for example, you like the Akotar series but you wish that it had more plot, this might be it for you. If it is that you enjoyed the Throne of Glass series but you wish that it had been more, there had been like a center around romance, about more focus on Aileen's trauma, then you might just enjoy House of Flesh and Blood. But I did enjoy it, and I gave it 5 stars. Next is the fourth book I read in March, which was the first contemporary on this list, and that is Titan's Addiction by Anna Zers. This is the second book in the Wall Street Titans duology, and I'm going to start straight up and say that I gave this book a 3 stars. I did not like it as much as I like Wall Street Titan, which was the first book in the duology. I felt that this book could easily have been merged with that one. I think that Anna Zers, she told a fascinating story. It was just a fascinating story that could have been contained in one book, and that thing always pisses me off when each book are just like 7 hours apart and together is 14 hours, and we do know that we have like listened to audiobooks longer than that, but it's the author's choice, it's the writer's choice. I don't see anything wrong with it. The other reason why I did give it a 3 stars rather than a 4 stars is the fact that it just became repetitive after a point. There's just only so much in which you have Emma, who is the lead character, because see, Titan's Addiction picked up from where we left off in Wall Street Titan, which is the fact that Marcus went after Emma to try and get her back. I'm not going to go into that much detail because if you are interested in the series and you've not read the first one, I don't want to spoil things for you, but they had a big fight. Emma left to go be with her grandparents. Marcus followed her, and things ensued with regards to getting them together at the end, and that was just the thing. I think that it became repetitive just how much it is that Emma kept thinking that she's not good enough, that she's not okay for Marcus, that Marcus deserves better, that they're not on the same economic standing, yada yada yada. Like once, twice, 3 times, okay, but every other page she kept bringing this thing up. Even after her grandmother and Kendall told her, that was when she finally opened her eyes. And I say finally because I was so close to researching how to enter a fucking ass book and shake a character so hard, because I really wanted to shake her hard. Like, frustration, thy name is Emma. I'm just saying, she was so frustrating, but I did enjoy it. I did not love it as much as the first one. I think that the hit level for the second book dropped just a slight bit. I think that the first one had way more sex scenes and was way more hotter than we got with the second book, but it was still an enjoyable read and a pretty decent end to the duology. I have an idea of the fact that the second, like, it's not going to be the third book in the series, because I think that she's going to be taking each of this, the alpha, sorry, I think it's the alpha club or alpha zone, I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be taking each of these members and like telling their story. And I think that the next character story we're getting that is going to be connected to Emma and Marcus's story is most likely going to be Kendall, and I'm not going to go into details with regards to who our love interest would be because I don't want to spoil the book for you. But like I said, 3 stars, enjoyable. Did I want more? Yes. But was I okay with what I got? Also yes. So okay, there is that. The second contemporary book and the 5th book on my list is Inappropriate by Vi Kidland. I gave this a 2 stars. I think it had a very strong start. You had a character who was fired due to an invasion of her privacy by people that worked in her company, and then she spoke back and got her job back. I'm certain that your portrayal is to have this heroine who is very outspoken and very spunky, but all I was thinking was that, girl, seriously, like, I can just imagine me speaking up like that to my boss. I would be out of a job so fucking fast. I'm going to catch whiplash. Like, just personally, that's just it. So fucking fast. So yeah, like nah. But even not with that, like I said, the intro was decent. Like, it had a strong start, and of course I gone beyond the inappropriateness of this whole boss and employee relationship, because you all know I read all sorts of stuff, so like I didn't mind that. I think the part where Vikilan took me totally out of the story was when she now split it across two timelines, and then you had Ireland, that's the girl that's the girl who was fired and then rehired and started a relationship with her boss, right? There's that timeline between Ireland and Grant, and then there's the second timeline between Grant and Lily. Who is Lily, you might ask? Lily is Grant's first love and his ex-wife. Yes, Vikilan thought that it made sense for her to be telling us Grant and Lily's love story in the same book where she's telling us Grant and Ireland's love story. And some people might like that storytelling style. I do not. I don't even want to see it in flashbacks. I would rather you just share that information. I know it was to further explain, the trauma and the things that Grant had been to, and for us to be able to see the person Grant was before Ireland met him, but it's a short story, so we do not even get that much of a glimpse of how that's totally unromantic, has no interest, Grant. It wasn't like Christian Grey's I don't make love, I fuck. That wasn't his character portrayal. So I was just like, you could have just told us that he's a badass. You could have just shown us the little ways in which he was not down for romance, and then in a story or something, he's telling her Island stuff, he can just explain his past. But no, we had to go on a full-on journey. Like, I started fast forwarding through the Grant and Lily parts, and still and then the way in which Vikilan villainized mental health in this book, I just like, seriously, what the fuck? So between the heroine that was spunky and outspoken, but who I did not like, because I just felt that there's just a certain level of, she got away with shit that we wouldn't get to. And I know I'm not reading a romance book with the expectation of getting reality, but there are some, maybe I'm just hurt and butthurt because I disagree a lot with my bosses, and I still would not get away with all the things Ireland was doing. So maybe that's why I'm just miffed. But I'm just miffed. I just wasn't feeling it. You add that, the heroine that I said I didn't like, you had that with the villainization of mental health, and then you had the bringing in of the past love interest, and I was just like, nope, sorry, I'm out of this. Like, this was legit flashback. Like, we were in Grant's head and he was in love with this woman. I'm just like, who told Vikilan that this was in any way a great idea? Like, someone please tell me, explain it, make it make sense to me, because I don't understand it at all. So I like I said, I gave it 2 stars. This is my first Vikilan novel. I hope I can get another one that I would enjoy. If you all read Vikilan, just drop in the comments down below a book of us that you recommend that is totally and completely different from Inappropriate, because I was inappropriately pissed at how much I did not like Inappropriate. So yeah, there was that. And then there's the last book I read in March, which is the 3rd contemporary book on that list, and that is Girl at Heart by Kelly Oran. I gave this 4 stars. I think it was just cute and sweet and funny in a way, and like, funniest thing, I started this book, like, when I started this book, I was like, okay, it's going to probably be a 3 stars, solid, not bad, 3 stars, but I just found it sweet. I just found it enjoyable. I found this not feeding into the stereotype of the bitchy cheerleader. We still got the stereotype of the bitchy girlfriend who is jealous of her boyfriend's best friend because she knows that said best friend is in love with her boyfriend. We did get that stereotype, but that was the only stereotype that we really dwelt on in the book. The rest of it was just pretty cool. In it, basically, we followed Charlie or Charlotte. She has always been one of the boys all her life, and she's not minded, but it's time for senior prom, and she's had a crush on her best friend for like forever, and she was expecting him to ask her out to senior prom. And when she finds out that he had not only asked somebody else, but he basically laughed at the thought of her going to senior prom because she's one of the guys, of course, why would she want to go to senior prom? And I just wanted to just go into the book and just slap him, because sure, one of the guys, and yet all the guys are going to prom. So even if it was that you only saw as one of the guys, why the hell would you think that she would not want to go to prom? And that was the beginning of my hate relationship with Herrick, a 17-year-old boy. Yes, I spent this entire book hating him. Even to the end of the book, I still hated him. I think he was one of the most shittiest, he's one of the shittiest best friends ever, because he's so fucking toxic with his expectations. It takes a level of egocentricness and fucking ass assholery for you to see that your friend is visibly going through a change that makes her happy, and yet you're so caught up on oh, she's changing herself for a boy. And all I'm thinking is that even if she was changing herself for a boy, which technically she kind of was, but also technically she kind of wasn't, I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to spoil it, but even if she was changing herself for a boy, the whole point is that, is she happy with these changes? Is she feeling uncomfortable? You could see that she was coming into her own, she was blossoming, but this fucking asshole, because he does not want to share her, and yet he has the audacity to get a girlfriend and has said girlfriend to prom. Like, this asshole just kept maligning her, he just kept bringing her down, he just kept ruining her self-esteem, and that was the only part of this book I did not enjoy at all. I think that honestly Charlie should have kicked him to the curb. I don't care that you have been friends for almost 12-15 years. In fact, that is what makes it hurt the most, because someone who is that close to you to be so fucking self-absorbed and so fucking clueless, and to just be hurting and scarring you at every possible point, that is not a friend. That's not a friend. That's a liability. That's a fucking ass parasite. You should just kick that thing to the curb. And I say thing because Eric became a thing. Like, there was this scene, I just she broke down in tears, and even with that, he still had the audacity to be angry. Like, Eric is a shitty ass friend. Jace is way too good to be true. Layla is my bae. Like, that, tell me, please give us more cheerleaders like that, who are not just stereotypical mean bitchy girls. Like, she was just fun and so amazing, and I just love the fact that Charlie ended up that book, you know, getting her dreams, being happy, getting new friends, getting a boyfriend, and just living her best life. It would have been perfect if she had kicked Eric to the club, but I recognize the fact that she's attached to that boy. Do I see the reason why? Nope, but I recognize the fact that she's attached to that boy, so I'm just going to have to live with it. But yeah, those were the 6 books I read in March. All in all, it was pretty well rounded. Hopefully I read more 5-star books in April. But yeah, that is my wrap up. If you like this video, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos, subscribe if you want to, and if you do decide to subscribe, please click on that notification bell so you can know the minute I have a new video go up. I make new videos every Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.